Hey, what's going on, people? My name is Rob Dukes. This is the Put Up Your Dukes podcast, episode number 2. I want to thank all you guys for all the downloads and all the shit on the first one. It got picked up by a couple news outlets, and a lot of you subscribed, and I appreciate that immensely. It was really well received, you know, and I mean, how fucking hard is it to not love Rick? I mean, he's just a lovable fucking guy. So anyway, this is episode 2. So in episode 1, I discussed with Rick his favorite songs, and I had planned on adding the songs to the end of the podcast. So I wanted to give you like an hour's worth of music following the podcast, so it would just continue to play. But I just found out I can't do that. So what I am going to do is make a link. Just you press the link and it'll go to the playlist that I created on Spotify and Apple, and it'll be Rick's playlist. That's the name of it. And it has all the songs that Rick loves, and then I added a bunch of ones that I loved by Rick. And so I'm also going to do the same from this episode and also, you know, all the episodes going forward. I'm going to have to, because you know what they'll do? I heard that my friend, he said that they took all his podcasts down because he played a song. Like he had a guest on, right? Which I guess if you're, I get it, but I don't get it. It's got to do with money and shit. So basically what it is he had a guest on, played their song off their new record, and the whole podcast got pulled because of that one song. So I can't do that, which I wanted to do that for you. So what I'm going to do is make you a list. That being said, there's this show called Fatal Attraction on, what is it on? Discovery Plus. Holy fuck. It is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in my life. There is the one, I've only seen a few episodes. The first episode that I saw was this guy. He's a fucking like a construction worker, right? And he's kind of a drunk, and he hangs out this like fucking redneck bar, and he's kind of that guy, right? Just get out of work, go to the bar, drink to oblivion, then go home. So he picks up this skank one night, and he brings her home, and he fucking, dude, he's like showing off his apartment or his house, and he's got a 13-foot boa constrictor. So he's like showing off, like, I put it around my neck, and he fucking trips, hits his head, the boa constrictor fucking chokes him the fuck out, kills him, and then tries to eat him. She calls 911, the cops come, the fucking snake is like half on his head, bulged his fucking eyes out. Dude, I was fucking giggling. It was like, you dumb motherfucker. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get for being that guy. Anyway, the show's amazing. The next one I watched was this couple. They're like dancers on Broadway, and they decide, you know what we need to make our act better? Let's bring a fucking panther into the fucking deal, right? And then no, not enough. Let's get a tiger. And then next thing you know, man, they got like 9 tigers and jaguars and fucking panthers. And what happens? The fucking tiger. First, it kills one of their dudes, rips his fucking throat out. He dies right in front of them. They don't get rid of the tigers. They don't even stop. They don't miss a beat. They're like, all right, now we gotta get a guy to replace him. So they get another guy to come like immediately and replace him. And then the woman goes to feed the tiger that killed the dude. She was a little weary. She goes to get him some food. He rips her fucking throat out and kills her right there on the spot. Yeah. And I'm thinking, good for that tiger. Good for them cats. Fuck you. I'm sick of this job. That's kind of what I think they said. You know what? I'm not going to work today. Not going and jumping around through hoops and shit for these fucking people anymore. Anyway, it's an amazing show. I think you should watch it. I just listened to the new Hypocrisy album. Dude, fucking It's really good. If you like sweet as fucking black metal, this is your album. It is fucking everything that I wanted it to be. Fucking Peter's Taggart is killer. Horg, just what a fucking amazing fucking drummer. Holy shit. And so if you want a good album to go check out, that one. And that's my album of the day. It came out yesterday. I was going to suggest a book. So all you fucking metalheads out there, right? You want to read a book that will fucking... It is some of the most vile, fucked up, dark, just awesome writing and just... He wrote the words... what did he write? I gotta look on my phone. Hold on one second. Don't go away. Don't freak out. He wrote lecherous putrefaction. And I was like, what the I had to write it down on my phone. It is some of the best writing that you will come across. It's called The Necroscope. It's by a writer named Brian Lumley. I suggest reading it. I've read it all once before, but now I'm listening to it on Audible. And they got like this actor guy, so he does all the voices for all the different characters, and it is fucking great. It's an amazing book. So just a little suggestion for you out there. It's vampires and fucking witches and demons and fucking it's the most horrific shit you'll ever read. It's fucking killer. It's so fucking good. It just makes me smile listening to it. It's a very good book. And then because I read that word, lecherous putrefaction, I was like doing a search on like leeches and shit, and I was kind of reading all about it. And check this out: an 18-year-old boy from a coastal village in eastern India. So basically, I'm not going to read the article because I read like a fucking dummy. So, he was working in a field, and it was like 3 feet of water. So he was like up to his thighs and waist in water at times. And all of a sudden, he felt like his ass was like fucking hurting. And then within the next 5 hours, he had blood spewing from his rectum. It doesn't say spewing, but they should have. It was experienced bleeding per rectum with loose stool and tenemus, T-N-E-S-M-U-S, whatever. I'm an idiot. Whatever. So they gave him an enema. Didn't help. He started blood clotting. And then he had black discharge. Holy shit! Right? They pulled a 10-centimeter leech from inside his anal cavity. And I was like, wow. And then he once they pulled the leech out, he stopped bleeding from the ass. Which, anyway. So, leeches. I don't know. Pretty cool. Pretty gross. All that at once. Anyway, so I did a deep dive on leeches, and that was the first story I came across. They're in rivers and lakes. And I remember lakes. I remember swimming in a lake as a kid, and I don't remember getting a leech on me. But wait a minute. In Stand By Me, don't they get leeches all over them? Yeah, they did. That's right. Stand By Me. Oh, Stephen King. Okay. The new Generation Kill album. It's coming along. I think we're going to do one more video. We've done 3, and this guy approached us. What's his name? I forgot. His name's Wasey. Yeah. Anyway, I talked to him on the phone. Sounds pretty cool. Got some good ideas. All right, let's do it. So the song Wasey wants to do is it's an Edgar Allan Poe themed song, and we had Chris Poland, the original Megadeth guitar player. He guest on it, and he fucking shredded. Holy fuck, that dude is so goddamn good. Anyway, so real dark, fucked up theme. cool, so he was like, I love these lyrics, I love the music, let's fucking do it. So he's gonna start doing that. We're probably gonna try to release it right before the album comes out, kind of like one more little thing for you guys. So that being said, so moving on, my guest today is Wayne Lozinak from Hatebreed. He's the guitar player, and like the reason me and Wayne bonded, because we were both techs before we got in the bands we were in. So he teched for Hatebreed, and then he was originally. So his story is, he was a guitar player, he quit, he came back, he was a tech, and then he was a guitar player again. Where I was a tech for the band and then became the singer. So me and Wayne, so like that bond we had as techs, was like that. So anyway, me and Wayne are buddies, and we toured a whole bunch throughout the years. And then my last couple of years, I used to run into him all the time, and we still talk quite often. So I decided to have him on because he has an interesting story, going from metalhead to hardcore kid, but still always loved metal. And he's an amazing guitar player. He's a fucking shredder. And we told some good stories about touring together and then being on the road. And then I asked him some questions about growing up in the Connecticut area and being on that hardcore scene of the East Coast from its inception, because he was there at the beginning in the mid '90s, following that trend of after Agnostic and Cro-Mags and Bad Brains and all those guys, and then joining the fold. So without further ado, my friend, Mr. Wayne Lozinak.
Cool. So everybody, this is Wayne, a guitar player from Hatebreed. One of my favorite people. One of my favorite people on the planet, man. You're a good egg, my man. So,
you as well.
Yeah, buddy. So we got to tour a whole bunch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of shows. Not only as you as a tech for Exodus, but then you were actually we did a Hatebreed. We did some shows, and then we did a bunch of festivals and stuff. So anyway, so when I'm going to try not to just ask the normal fucking questions that you get. But I am gonna
I figured you wouldn't.
Yeah. So
I'm like, oh man, I don't know what he's gonna bring up, but
but let's just start at the beginning. So I mean, you grew up in a musical household. Were you like me? Did you steal your parents' records and have like a bunch of stuff that you had?
Oh yeah, it all started basically when I was a little kid. I was like probably 3 years old. My father had these Kiss albums, and that's what started it all off. Especially, I'm sure, as a little kid, seeing the makeup and the blood and the fire and all that stuff. And then I had Kiss dolls, which I actually still have to this day. And then but that's what started everything, so that I just wanted to, play music. And my father had a guitar around. He played like very little, like basic guitar. I wouldn't say he's like a great guitar player, but he was always one there. So I'd always pick it up and just bang around on it, smash around on it, trying to, make something good come out of it. And then, I probably when I was like 8 years old or something, I just started getting into just music, like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Ozzy, all that stuff, especially with like MTV back in the day. Yeah. They used to play all those videos. So I would sit in front of the TV at 8 and see all this great music coming on. And then that was it from there. And then I just started playing.
So how did you transfer over to the hardcore scene? Like, how did that?
Well, okay. So first it was like all that stuff, Kiss, Motley Crue and all that. And I would say when I was 12, I heard Metallica. So then that was like a whole new thing, like Metallica, because heavier, way heavier than anything else at that time. I mean, I heard Motorhead. I guess Motorhead was probably the heaviest until I heard Metallica, but then that sent me on that, like full into thrash, the Big Four, Megadeth, Slayer, all that, Testament, Exodus, all that stuff. So it wasn't really until I'd say I was a teenager in high school and I started listening to like some hardcore bands. I was a full-on metalhead at that point.
No, this is Hartford, Connecticut, correct?
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay, Bridgeport. Yep. Yeah.
Bridgeport and Stratford. Stratford is a town right next to Bridgeport, if you're familiar with Connecticut. So I grew up in both of those places.
I've driven through it a few times, yeah.
Yeah. And so then I'd say teenager, late teens is when I started going to hardcore shows every weekend. That was basically like when grunge kind of started taking over, and I don't know, metal. Some of the metal bands was like, whatever. And I just happened at that same time start going to these clubs in New Haven. There's a place called the Tune In, and then they had hardcore and punk shows all the time, and metal, everything, just every weekend, just going there, whatever show it was.
Right.
And then there were all these other places. The Connecticut Bike Exchange in Bristol would have it was like people skating on ramps while bands were playing. And I just got really into the hardcore scene, probably 19, 20 years old, something like that. And then it just from there, just started going all the time.
Were you traveling down to New York to see shows? Or
oh yeah. New York, Massachusetts, the whole Northeast, we'd go see shows. So CBGB's. There's a place called the Wetlands in New York. I don't know if you've ever been there.
It's not there anymore. It's gone.
Right. Yeah. That was a great place.
So now you're into the hardcore scene. So now you're listening to Agnostic Front. You're listening to the Cro-Mags and all that.
Yep.
And you're doing. Were you in the pit doing were you part of the pit doing the whole new style of
oh yeah, definitely. Because especially the hardcore, because it was all our friends too. Most of the shows, you knew 100 people every time you went there. It was like a community, so it was all of us in the pit every show.
Right. Were you still going to pre-shows and metal shows and
a little bit, but after a while there wasn't not as much as I was.
Well, it also died out because grunge kind of killed it.
That's what I'm saying. It was and then some of the newer stuff, it was I don't know. For some reason, I just wasn't into it as much, Yeah. And then, the newer stuff, I don't even half the stuff I don't remember. And it was kind of Rob Halford was out of Priest.
Yeah.
And it was
doing
Bruce,
Fight.
Yeah, Bruce Dickinson, I think, was out Iron Maiden. So it was all this weird time for metal. I mean, Fight, actually, I saw Fight at Toad's Place in New Haven.
Yeah,
I know you've been there, right?
Yeah, and I actually saw Fight in New York. I saw that. I think I don't remember the name of the club. Starland. It might have been. I might have saw them there, or someplace in Jersey. I forget. Whatever. I saw them once. They were actually great.
It was great, especially seeing Rob Halford in his little tiny club. It's like, whoa,
it's fucking killer. Yeah. So now you're kind of just in that hardcore scene, and I know the deal. I know you start to take on a whole new vibe of who you are as a human. So now you're in your early 20s. You're starting to be molded. Did you ever have long hair, or did you always?
Yeah, I had long hair. When I was in high school, and then after high school is when I shaved my head, got into the hardcore scene and all that.
Yeah. All right.
Complete transformation.
Totally. You just did you start getting tattooed at that time too?
I had a couple. I had a few under the sleeves, in the late 90s, and then I took I'm weird. I wanted to find the right tattoo artist and the right tattoo, so it just took me a while to get fully. I ran into an old friend from the hardcore scene actually. Years later, he was like, "Oh, I'm a tattoo artist," and I'm like, "Oh, dude, it's good. We're gonna start." And then I just started getting every month.
After I did that first tour with you guys, you weren't in the band. Sean Martin was playing guitar.
I was actually teching at the time.
So, but that whole I got introduced into all those guys, and I sort of listening to more of the hardcore stuff at that time. I had listened before, but I wasn't I liked the Cro-Mags, I liked Agnostic Front, and I liked Hatebreed, and going on that tour with them was fucking awesome because you were seeing hardcore kids looking up at us going, what the fuck is going on? They're playing fucking guitar solos. What's going on? But it was
that's the one good thing about Hatebreed. We're kind of right on that line where we could play full on metal shows with Obituary, Exodus, or whoever, and be totally fine, and then go out with Agnostic Front and the Cro-Mags, which we just did a tour, a couple of years ago. It was great, and we got that's right. So it's good that we have that thing. Some people are so close-minded, we're not hardcore enough for the hardcore people, we're not metal enough for the metal people, and it's whatever. A lot of people like us to keep coming to see us. So I'm into both genres, so that's why
me too,
it works for me.
It works for me too. So let's talk about you when you first met Jamie. He was booking shows in Bridgeport and doing
New Haven mostly. A lot of shows in New Haven.
Okay,
because Jamie's from New Haven, but he was in this band called Josta 14.
Right.
So I knew him, and just from seeing him around shows, like I said, and then like the other members, the original members of Hatebreed, there were two of them. The drummer and Beatty actually was in this band called Frostbite.
Okay.
So Frostbite was from Bridgeport, Josta 14, New Haven, and then he got kicked out of Josta 14 for whatever reason, and then started up Hatebreed.
No shit. You got kicked out of his own band.
Yeah.
That's fucking.
And kept the
That's
name.
fucking Jamie. I can see that.
Oh yeah.
All right. So you were the original guitar player for Hatebreed. So let's go through let's go through the lineup. So it was you, Beatty, Jamie, and
technically, Jamie, I knew Jamie, and Dave Russo was the drummer. So
okay.
we would hang out at Dave's house in Bridgeport, like hanging out outside drinking 40s or whatever. And I heard him, like, I remember hearing band practice and like, who's that? And they're like, oh, it's Jamie's new band with Dave. They're trying to get a band together. So I didn't join at that point. And then they got a couple members, tried out here and there. And then, so they played a show in Bristol as a 4-piece. They played like 3 songs. I don't even think they were fully written. I think Jamie might even been making up words on the spot for some reason. But it was insane. And I was there and I went to the drummer. I'm like, hey, I see you only have one guitar player. He's like, yeah, we're looking for another one. So you should come down. So I went down. He gave me the 3 songs or 3 or 4 songs that they were working on or done. And then I went and jammed with them like a week later. And then that's where the full lineup was set from there. And then after that, it was like probably in the band for that lineup for about a year.
Okay.
And then it was like, I was in college, I was working. I mean, I didn't have a great job. I was working at JCPenney, but still working, and we were playing shows for fun. I was like in the stock room unloading the trucks.
Oh,
and then if someone bought something, like something big, I would help them bring it out to their car.
Oh, okay.
And in the morning, I would go collect the hangers and the garbage and all that.
Okay. So
but still getting paid.
So I know the deal, right? So now you have a job, you're in college,
yeah.
Right? And you're in this band. And then at what point do you decide, like, look, I can't do this because.
Well, actually, Jamie wanted to tour and stuff and play shows, and I'm like, I can't do that. I'm in college. I play hardcore shows on the weekend for fun with my friends. So they actually did a tour with this band Ignite. I think that was the first tour, and they had to get a fill-in for me.
The California Ignite?
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay. Right,
I just saw them last
I know
weekend.
those guys, yeah.
So yeah, it was with them 1995. And like, actually I did a weekend tour first. We went down to Florida. We did a few shows that booked down the East Coast. Right. And we played a show booked with Bloodlet.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I could do it, but I'm only taking one day off of school and I got to be back the next day. So I made them drive back right after our set. I think we saw one song of Bloodlet. They were so pissed, but I was like, dude, I got to go to school from Florida, not around the corner. So needless to say, I don't think, so then Jamie, they actually got kicked out the first time because they were like, dude, we got to, you're not pulling your weight, I guess, for a band. And I'm like, dude, it's a hardcore band. And but he had a bigger, vision, I guess, which I never expected at that point back then.
Right.
So then in the 95, I was like, they got another guy. And then he lasted for about a few shows. He quit because it was too much for him. There was a bunch of fights and everything else. Right. And then another guy replaced him.
Okay.
So then I actually came back again, though, a second time, because mid 96, Beatty actually quit for a little while because he was having issues with, whatever, because it's a lot when you're just trying to tour, you're with the same guys. So then Boulder, who passed away in 2006. He committed suicide, actually, which sucks. So he actually moved over to bass and I played guitar. I was like, because he called me, I was like, dude, we got a show in Long Island with Biohazard. You got to play with us. It's going to be great. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. And it's like, all right. So then I ended up I was like, I'll play till you find someone else. I ended up playing for another 8 months or something like that.
Okay.
So I was in the band till probably spring of 97 or something. Then they, got someone else, and then Beatty came back.
Right.
So yeah, that was the original journey.
And when did Sean?
Sean joined, I would say 99, I think.
Okay.
So the band started in 94. And then there was a bunch of different lineups. There's been a ton of drummers until Matt joined. Yeah. Matt actually played in late 90s. He left and then came back in 2001 too. Yeah. So it was a lot of craziness in the beginning.
Yeah, Matt's a solid guy. The one thing I'll let you guys the fans in on, man, was when we played with Hatebreed, I love the fact that BD forced his amps onto the ground. He wanted them on the stage so he could feel it on the floor, man. And
the Marshalls too.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, no, I gotta take them out of the cases, take them out of the wheels. They gotta be on the floor.
They gotta be on the floor. And so I've jumped up and sang with Hatebreed a bunch of times on Live for This.
Yep.
And until I fucked it up, and then Jamie didn't want me up there anymore. But I remember how incredibly fucking loud it was. Like it was insane. So fucking loud. But it felt killer. Like I understood. I was like, this is fucking killer. So moving on. So now you're not in the band, but you tech from time to time, or were you there?
Well, no, this was 1997 done. I was in a couple other bands. I was in like another hardcore band, another like kind of an oi hardcore punk band after that.
Right.
And then I just years and years and years, I started just driving a coffee truck, like one of those lunch trucks.
Yeah.
You know, like they go to the job site. So that's what I was doing. And one day, this was 2006. So years later. So before that, I'm watching Hatebreed get big and big on magazines. I'm like, dude, this is insane. Jamie's the host of Headbangers Ball.
Right, yeah. So did you feel like you missed something? Like you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was like, I think the first time I really, because at first it was just like, whatever, it's, you know, play for fun. But then I think it was around 2000 maybe, and they played like, I think it was Tattoo the Earth in like the parking lot of Giant Stadium with like Metallica playing or something. I'm like, oh man, this is like, what do I do? And then that's when I saw him go up, tour with Slayer, Danzig, Motorhead, and Dropkick Murphys, and all these huge tours. And I was like, oh man, but I was still friends. Like I'm best friends with Beatty, you know, the whole time. So I was I wasn't like mad. I was just like, I was happy for them, but like sad for myself.
I get that. I know that feeling. Yeah. You're like, oh fuck, man.
So I would go at every show. I loved it. It was cool. Every time I saw him in a magazine, I was like, dude, it's crazy. That's Hatebreed.
Right. And then, so when did you start guitar teching?
2006. So I'm like 5 a.m. Petey's in Australia. He's like, I need a new tech. I whatever. And I'm like, I'll do it. And he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll change your strings and plug in your amps and tour the world and get paid for it.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, let me talk to the other guys. So then they talked. He was like, all right, dude, you're in. This was Ozfest 2006. So this is my first tour ever. Teching, didn't know anything, didn't even know what a stage manager was, nothing. I just thrown right into the wolves, and then I just somehow managed to get through it. And then,
did you buy a tech box and have all the shit, and did you come prepared, or did you
it's funny, I just found it the other day. I had this little, he's like, you're gonna need a toolbox and some tools. I'm like, all right. Literally, it was this big and this thin. It was like a little toolbox with some screwdrivers. I was like, all right, I'm ready. But even before that, I didn't even have I didn't have the internet. I didn't have an email, nothing. This is 2006. Everyone's like, what? You did? I was like, I didn't need it. You know, I just still living the old way. And he's like, you're going to have to get an email. That's how we do everything. I'm like, all right. So that was the first time I got an email.
I did. I remember when I first met you and we would hang out that you were new to the internet game. Like you had social media.
That was it. 2006. The Exodus tour was the second tour that I did as a tech. That was right after Ozfest.
Okay. Yeah.
So Exodus, Napalm Death.
Yeah. I remember you had no Twitter, you had nothing. And I was like,
nothing.
And I was with BD. I remember sitting with Chris going, fuck man, I want to fuck with Wayne.
No MySpace.
He's got nothing. I think
MySpace was the thing. Yeah. I actually didn't get one until 2012. I finally broke down. It was like, because I got my own signature strings from SIT. So I was like, I'm not gonna ask Jamie to promote my stuff or anything. I guess I got to get my own now. So then I got one, and then ever since Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, man. So now you're teching. So at least you're around bands. You're touring the world, and you're making decent money.
Right, and plus music, because I love. That's my favorite thing ever. So just to be. Because some people are like, you were in the band. How are you going to work for them? I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't the same band when I was in it. It was a little local hardcore band.
Yeah.
And plus, who cares? I'm making money, touring the world, hanging out meeting all these bands, hanging out, partying every night.
Right.
And getting paid for it. It was great.
And Hatebreed are a hard working fucking band. You guys tour and you tour legit.
Yep.
How many shows a year? 220?
Probably not as much anymore, but back then it was a lot.
It was, yeah. You
I
guys
know,
were-
but in the early days, I think 1 year they did like 300 shows or something crazy like that.
So now you're teching on tour, and did you do other bands beside Hatebreed?
So I'm teching for Hatebreed for 1 year, brand new, basically still, but I got the hang of it, got it down pretty good. So then 2007, I actually started teching for Rhianna.
I know that. I was leading to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, because our tour manager, which a lot of people in the music scene know, Gary McDaniel, he's pretty notorious out there. He's kind of a maniac sometimes, but he was with us, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to production manage for Rhianna." I was like, "What?" And like at that time, some of the people didn't even know who she was. Like I knew who she was because I listened to that type of music too, as you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, and they were like, "Who?" And then I was like, "Dude, you got to get me a gig on that." If you guys like, all right, I got you. So then, sure enough, he called me up. He's like, "All right, we're gonna need a tech on this. So come on." I was like, "All right." And then
no shit.
I went from there.
So at this point, you have a real tech box. You have you have like top of the line gear, or you still
I never got like the
it.
huge tech, but I got the one that's made. It was like the little tour supply. The little suitcase kind of tech box.
Yeah.
So I had that. I kind of knew a little more. And, plus I was so used to it every day. So I had the stage thing down, setting up the amps, unloading the trailer,
Yeah. Plus you're not working it. I know that. So, I was a tech also. I think that's why I always with techs for my bands. Right. So, but we weren't dealing when you work on those upper level bands, you're not dealing with some hardcore bands, guitars that they fucking destroy and abuse.
Exactly.
You're dealing with everything is top line. Everything is intonated. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's usually,
it's actually less work because there's you got 20 to 30 stagehands unloading the trucks, so you're just pointing, here, put it there, but you're not in the trailers trying to balance stuff and Tetris, stacking everything. So it was that was great.
And you make a lot of times you make more money than
I definitely made a lot more money doing that one.
Being in the band, right? Yeah, I know that deal too. So so now, you're still living in Bridgeport.
I made more money teching. I don't know about being in the band now, but
right. I get that. Yeah. Back then.
Yeah.
So, didn't you do a Monster Magnet tour? Didn't you tour for?
I did Monster Magnet. Yep. I did a couple of European tours for Monster Magnet. Those were insane. Those party. Oh man, that was party central every night.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, it's the first tour I teched on Ozfest with Hatebreed. The guitar player Phil Cavano was Sean's tech.
Okay.
So he did a tech. He's been around forever. So he was a tech. So he kind of showed me what to do. So then he called me. He's like, "Dude, I need a tech." I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" That was 2008.
So in 2008, so you also toured with Exodus in 2008.
Right.
So,
yep.
So were you doing Frank, Sean, and
no, just Frank and Beatty. At that time, Hatebreed had two techs.
Oh, okay.
So I teched for just Frank and Beatty, and then Sean had his own tech.
Yeah, and then you had to roll over to Exodus and do everybody.
Yeah. there was a tour that I did when I did everybody for it was Australia or something. We had the smallest crew available, imaginable, whatever. And then so I was used to it. I did it for a few tours that too. But then Exodus was everybody. But Exodus, the thing, it was as long as Gary was good, because I was on his side, he was the only one who was really during the show. Once I handed off Lee and Jack their instruments, I didn't even hear from them the whole show.
Yeah.
So it was still pretty easy. Setting up, it took a while because you had to set up all three things and change all the strings, but it was still pretty easy.
Yeah.
So and fun.
We were we had a blast. So you're part of the Vakken DVD. You can see you on the end because you were the tech at that show. And then I remember me and you ran over to watch the Hatebreed set right after we were done. We didn't sit. And then we went back to see In Flames. But anyway, so it's funny that
I think Carcass played on that too.
Yeah, and
that was a good show.
That was a good show, man. That was a good fucking 3 Inches of Blood opened it up.
Yeah.
So there's a part of I watched the DVD recently because we were looking for parts to add to the intro of this podcast I'm doing and have things. And I was like, oh, there's fucking Wayne. And you were standing
with my spiky hair and my jean shorts.
And you were with us. I'm gonna bring up one. I think it was 2000. When did you rejoin Hatebreed? 2010?
2009.
2009.
Yeah, it was like right after those Exodus and Monster Magnet tours.
Yeah.
January 2009.
Okay, so
that's when I joined.
We were in Spain, and it was me and you, and I don't know if you remember this, but we were all sitting on the bus, and we were playing with UFO was the headliner, and everyone was doing. Except for me and you.
Oh no, I was teching on that show with UFO. That was 2008, I think.
Yeah, you was me.
Yeah.
Well, me and you were hanging out because everyone else was drinking, and you weren't.
Yeah.
So we didn't really put rules on you about drinking, but you always.
Were I was drinking on that tour.
Right. But you
after work.
After work, so you were professional as fuck. When all the shit was put in the trailer and done, then you would start drinking. But everyone was doing coke. You remember that day? There was like a lot of cocaine being floated around backstage. There's a lot of people, and I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to. But this dude was probably, I'm gonna say 6'5", 350, and he's all coked up, and he got in your face about something, and you fucking. Dude, and you didn't back down. You were like, "Fuck you," and you were ready to throw down with this dude. Yeah. I was like, "Holy shit, this is gonna be." And I was so proud of you because he was in the wrong completely, and you know what I mean. And
I think it was actually just like a joke taken out of context or something, and he got mad because he's European.
Well, cocaine does that. Well, European and cocaine does that. Yeah. So
I was just like,
but I was like, that was. Anyway, and then we were sitting on the bus, and do you remember Pete Way coming on the bus and asked us for a drink?
I remember Gary talking about it. I don't know if I was there at that moment, but
yeah, well,
I remember seeing him walk by, and Gary's like, "There's Pete Way,"
right?
Like when they were done,
right? So we're all like, going, "Oh, it's Pete Way." So he comes on the Exodus bus, and he asked for a drink. So we go, oh yeah, the bar is right there. It was like a little table with all the alcohol on it. And he took a red cup and he just filled it with fucking vodka all the way to the top. And then said, all right, fellas, I'll see you after the show. I'll come back and hang out. And then he walked off the bus and we didn't see him again. And then we found remember the tour manager for them came, what the fuck are you guys doing? You gave Pete alcohol? We're like, well, no one told us not to. I mean, it's not like a rule. And then he got kicked out of the band.
That's
on that
crazy.
Show.
That's insane. I remember hearing that after. That was good. I remember we were all on stage watching them though. I remember like all 3 Inches of Blood. All of us were up there because we were sharing the bus with 3 Inches of Blood.
Yes, we were, man.
That was a party too. That whole tour.
So you joined in 2009, and you guys start throwing down and make a record. You walk in, you're in the studio with Zeus, who we both fucking love.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah, the great fucking guy. Oh, so fucking awesome to work with, isn't he? Like just
he's like a friend. We've known him for so long too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So we'll go in the studio. He'll like ride me hard to make sure I do everything, and then we'll go out to the bar after, have a drink.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. So you do make your first record with them, and it's. What did it feel like to go back for your whole?
Well, actually, the first thing I did was because literally Jamie was like, we were like calling each other back. Well, he's like, I think Sean might be quitting. Or first of all, like, you might have to fill in for like a tour in the summer, because Sean might not do it. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then he's like, I think he might be quitting. They're like, you want to do it? And I'm like, all right. So like, whatever. So then finally he's like, okay, he's gonna let us know or whatever. So then he'd let him know. I think it was like the end of the week or whatever. And then Jamie was like, okay, you got to go in the studio next week and finish up our covers album.
Oh yeah,
we started it, and there's still 4 more songs that weren't tracked. Like the drums are done, but that's it. I'm like, all right, so what are they? So it was Slayer, Suicidal Tendencies, Bad Brains, and Black Flag.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right. So I got my iPod listening, like trying to learn these songs, and then I got to learn them in C because they're in C. So I'm trying to learn them in E, and then I got to figure out the same frets in C.
Right.
So then I was literally in the studio next week recording with the first one was with Nicky Belmore, because he has a studio in Milford, Connecticut. He's a drummer for Josta. He does a lot of the Josta stuff. And he actually plays with Dee Snider now, him and his brother Charlie. They've been doing the live shows. But then so yeah, Nicky was the first one I recorded with those 4 covers, and then that came out. And then like a few months later, I was with Zeus doing the first full-length original album, studio album that I was on.
Right on. So now you go through this full transition of, starting out in the band when it's a fledgling hardcore band, and now you're in the studio making records.
Man, I played on the first EP back then, which was
right
Under the Knife, which was completely different recording experience. It was just live. We just played the songs. All right, we're good. Done.
Yeah. And now you're doing this whole bigger deal.
It was literally like a dream come true. Like, cause I've always wanted to play music, for my whole life. And then once I got into my 20s, I was getting more realistic, like, that's, not everyone makes it. You gotta get a real job and, support yourself and pay the bills and everything. So to be able to be in a band for a living, it was great. Especially the band that I was in when it started, and I already knew everybody for so long. It's pretty seamless transition when I joined. I was already on the bus teching for them. I knew most of the songs anyway, so really, really, really didn't miss a beat. So I kind of just transformed. It was just like, instead of being behind the amps, I was in front of them.
That is an amazing thing to happen. It's like your dream comes to fruition. You're like, oh fuck, this thing I've always wanted. I'm here doing it. You ever find yourself on stage just going, wow, fuck?
Oh, especially those festivals in Europe.
Yeah,
literally, like we did when I first joined in 2009. I did a few small warm-up shows. We did a show in Connecticut, Toad's Place, but then my first tour was in Europe. And my first show, the first tour, was Download Fest in front of 80,000 people.
No shit.
Which is actually on video. There's a DVD that came in the deluxe package of the self-titled album. So, and my tech at the time was actually Mick Death, who also passed away. He was in 18 Visions, the bass player. Yeah. So he was my first tech, and he's out there, and something isn't working. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And they're going, come on, guys, you got 5 minutes. So then now he's checking everything. I'm behind my amp, like trying to yell around to him, like what it could be. And then finally, it was just this button that's like called the VPR button, which just cuts the watts down basically, which makes it real quiet. So he hit that button and it was on. I'm like, So then it was like, all right, go. So then it was like literally right after that, I'm like,
dude, that's fucking dead.
Like I'm getting yelled at by the stage manager, like, I don't know. And everyone's looking at me. I'm like, great, my first show. But the way it went, it was good.
Yeah, the stress from that is fucking crazy. And, you know what I mean? Those moments right before it goes, you're going on.
Yeah.
I've seen Gary have a meltdown. Something isn't working. It just it throws your game off, man.
Yeah, and you don't know what it is. You're checking every cable, every pedal, the amp,
and
the guitar.
Being a tech, it's crazy, right? But being in the band, you're like, those guys will figure it out. Whatever. Yeah, but it's still stressful.
But not the first show, the first tour when you literally just stopped being a tech.
Yeah,
and then you have a tech who was in a band for a long time who just became a tech because their band broke up. So he's did the opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
So you've had a really good career and it's still going, which is killer. I know you guys are getting ready to go back out as soon as the world will allow us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
well, luckily we did just get off a huge tour because we had tours. We had a world tour booked with Parkway Drive everywhere, U.S., Australia, Europe, and then literally like 2 weeks before we were supposed to get on the plane, COVID started.
Yeah.
So then we had it rebooked until this year, but then they couldn't get over here because they're from Australia because of the visas.
Yeah.
So we got lucky and got on this tour with Megadeth because In Flames couldn't come over or something happened with them. So we got their spot like last minute. We're like, we might get this Megadeth tour in like 2 weeks. So just be prepared. We're like, what? But luckily that was one of the best tours we've ever done too. It was huge.
Two things before we go. One was, were you there on the tour where Exodus came out dressed as Hatebreed?
Yes. Yep. Lee had a Hatebreed sticker on his neck, like put all his hair in a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one that I like set it up. I had to fake because Hatebreed was using either 2 or 3 Marshall stacks. So I unplugged one of the guitars from Frank and had another
Lee.
like my backup guitar, I think.
Because Exodus was really playing the song. They were really
yeah.
So
Lee and Gary came out around the stage. They're like, "What's going on here?" I started plugging stuff in,
and the
like,
Hatebreed guys didn't know. They had no idea we were doing this.
No clue.
Yeah. Do you remember singing Cemetery Gates at that festival?
That's what I thought you were going to bring up when you were like, we were in Spain. That's when I was in the band and saw you guys like randomly the night before because we were playing. Right. We pulled in that night.
But for some reason, you're not allowed to drink a real lot on tour. Like you have to like maintain.
There was a while I was kind of banned from drinking, but
because you're a crazy person.
Yeah,
I love Drunk Wayne. Drunk Wayne is one of my favorite.
I'm an acquired taste for some, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's gotten a little looser now. I drink now every once in a while. No, there's been no incidents, we'll say, for a long time. So
when you hang out with Altus, it's hard to not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's what happened. You came on our bus. Lee got you fucked up, and then we went and we watched some band do.
It was a Pantera tribute band. Like after all the bands played at this festival. Right. But remember, there was another thing where Rick was filling in for Gary on that.
Yeah.
He was there was like a go-go dancer in an
EDM tent
cage. Yeah. And he was like dancing like a maniac, no shirt on.
Yeah.
And like there were all these like metalheads vests, like looking, going, "Oh, this is so disappointing." So mad looking at Rick.
Yeah. But that was a really fun tour. That was one of the best. And we ran into you guys that time. And you actually during Cemetery Gates, the singer wasn't doing it right. So you actually went up and grabbed the microphone and actually
I just did the really high scream at the end. I thought he just didn't do it. I was like,
I know.
That's drunk Wayne.
That's Drunk Wayne.
Banned from drinking sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
dude, yeah. I wish you all the best, man. I hope.
Thank you.
I love when you guys roll into town. One other thing, real quick. You guys don't have a set list. Jamie calls out the songs, and you just have to know.
Yeah, right? Usually, especially on a headline. Sometimes if we open up and we're on a tight schedule, we'll have a set list. But even then, sometimes they'll just change it, and I'm like, okay, you got to be. But normally, there's no set list. There's a call out sheet on the drum riser of like 40 songs that he could choose from. So we know the very first song, and after that, that's it. He calls them out.
Calls them out as he sees it. So you have to know 40 songs like that without
right.
So that means he goes through and he can just any given night. Has he ever called one out? And you're like, I don't know how that goes. Has that happened?
No, because the ones we make sure we look at the list, but there has been, because we have two tunings now. We're in standard C and standard B for a few songs.
Right.
And it was like, there was one time where, because he'll tell us if we want to switch too. Like he'll be like, switch to B. But I was behind my amp and he didn't tell me.
Oh,
so that I still had the C guitar on. They had their B on the other side. And they went into the song and I kind of started playing it and I'm like,
oh no,
it's in C in the wrong tune. So then we had to stop and I'm like, ugh. But then there's also been times where, because we feed back in between and sometimes I can't hear them and be like, this one's blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't hear them. And then Matt will, count it off and then I'll just nothing. And then I'm like, ugh. So yeah, there've been a few mishaps here and there, but for some reason, not a lot. We've been pretty good.
I think that makes for an interesting show. The fact that that he just changes a set. I wish I had the ability to do that. And actually with Generation Kill, I do say, look, I might call an audible and switch the set if I'm feeling something or whatever. Because I'm looking at everybody and I kind of feel it. So when you play the new stuff, have you ever played a song where you come out and you go, oh, this one's gonna fucking kill, and you play it and it just sucks the air out of the room?
No, we're pretty, I think we're just used to, we kind of know we if it's new, you don't really know how it's gonna react, so we just kind of gauge it. And then luckily one of the newest songs we came out, I think it was 2016, Looking Down the Barrel of Today. Mm-hmm. And it's like the most streamed on Spotify and Apple Music, all that sort of whatever. And it's like one of our most popular songs and people love it. So it's good that people still like the new stuff, or we're not like looked at as like a nostalgia band and they only like the old stuff. So that's pretty cool that they still like the new songs. Yeah, and we still play them all. If we do a headline show, we normally do like songs off every album.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool. That is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have stayed the course, man, and you guys are, very cool as to all the other bands. I've never Hatebreed, Jamie and Hatebreed and all the guys were always the most welcoming band we've ever toured with. It was the most enjoyable experience. And then, you know, even having you as a tech all those years and having the fun and getting to know you guys. And I hope that one day Generation Kill could go out and tour. And
that'd be cool.
Tour with Hatebreed. Anyway, Wayne, thank you so much for doing this, dude.
Thanks for having me, man.
And you have I know you're in California now, so you enjoy
California
weather. The fuck out of the East Coast weather, yeah.
Yep.
Fuck that fucking place.
Northern Bay Area.
Nice, man. Right on. Well, the nights are cool, which is fucking killer.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, the weather's great. It's like people, you know, a lot of people in Connecticut are like, oh, it's gonna be so hot there. I'm like, it's like sometimes it's colder here than it is back there, but there's no snow. I don't have to worry about, so that's good.
That's true. All right, man. You still riding Harley? You still?
Oh yeah.
All right, buddy.
Now I got more time to ride it out here.
Fucking year round, dude. It's a year round ordeal now. It's killer.
Yep.
Right.
Great.
Well, listen, man. Ride safe. It was fucking awesome talking to you as always. And you know, I'm glad we're friends. It's cool.
Yeah, me too.
I wish you all the success in the future, and thank you very much, man, for doing this.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. All right, bud. Anyway, so everybody, I fucked up and forgot to ask Wayne 2 important questions on the podcast. So he actually, did you put on the same shirt to make it?
I didn't know. I was gonna. I took it out of the hamper and I was like,
yeah. I was like, I'm just gonna. Look, man, I'm just gonna. This is the way it is.
Part 2.
Yeah, this is part 2. So we're just gonna edit this into the end, and I'll make fun of myself before I do that. So. First, I want to talk about. So I had you 2009. You enjoyed Hatebreed again, and then I run into you at a festival we were playing, and you're like, "Dude, look at this!" Fucking.
Yep.
So you got the Bonded by Blood tattoo, but you got the one from Let There Be Blood.
Yes. If you want to see if you could see it here.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can't see it. Oh, it's fucking.
There you
awesome.
go.
So what was there? Why not the original?
So. This was right after, like, that album came out right after I toured with you guys, and you know, it was a great tour. And as soon as I saw the artwork and the images, I was like, oh, that's great. I mean, the original obviously is the classic and all that, but I thought it was such a great take, like just the artwork and the demon looking,
the updated version,
all that, the updated. I thought it was great, and I wanted to get, you know, an Exodus tattoo just because I loved all you guys and everything. And that lineup was the lineup that I toured with every member. Right. So it was like, it meant a little more to me, you know, because it was like, those are my dudes who I lived on a bus with, and you know, they're all cool, and it was, you know, all that stuff. So I was like, it's perfect, and the image is cool, and I just got it. I was like, I got to get it. Yeah, I love it.
One thing I remember, man. Do you remember? We would do a cover of Exodus, or like in the middle of the set.
I was actually going to bring that up. I thought about that. That was like. That was my favorite, one of my favorite things ever, because this was before I came back to Hatebreed. So I was, you know, Exodus guitar and bass tech at the time.
Yeah.
And there were all these European festivals that we were doing. So those were like, you know, the big thing, professional, make sure everything's perfect. But then you would do off day shows at clubs. And like towards the end of the set, I took Gary's guitar, you grabbed Lee's guitar, and we would play Seek and Destroy, like just randomly at the show. And then you would hand the guitar off right for the solo and back to Gary. You handed Lee's guitar to Gary, and he would play the solo and finish it up. I think that's actually on YouTube somewhere, and someone wrote, they're like, Exodus Guitar Tech joins them on stage for Metallica song.
Oh, no shit.
I got to search it. I think I saw that one time.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
I love that. Was great.
Yeah, man. I remember I grabbed Lee's guitar once and did a solo, and that's like on the internet somewhere. I just I just tried it for a second, but that was great. Good time. Yeah. So
that was my introduction to get back on the stage.
There you go, man. Yeah.
My warm up.
Yeah, no, it was fun as shit, dude. I had a blast doing that with him. We did it at least a dozen times.
Yeah, definitely. It was almost every headline show.
Yeah,
it was just like expected.
And we got better and better at it as we went along. We got better and better at the whole the song and all that. So yeah, and so let's talk to. So I asked you to make a list of some of the songs that changed your life. Change your life, but just made an impact on you,
right.
either growing up.
I mean, there's so many, but you
I know there
wanted
are. I know
10, so I
wanted 10. Yeah, I wanted 10 that stick out.
I tried to narrow it down to make the encompass my musical world, I guess you could say.
All right. So what was number one?
So number one, we had to start with Kiss because that started it all off.
All right.
And I went with 100,000 Years.
Ooh,
great song.
Wasn't that the one with the drum solo on Kiss Alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on the first album, the original version, and there's a super long drum solo on the Kiss Alive. But there's just something about that song still. Like, I was at the bar last night, put it on the jukebox. It's just a feel good song. Like, it's a little different, like different groove to it and everything, and the guitar riffs and stuff. And I still love it. It's not like some songs you've heard a million times, like Rock and Roll All Night. It's like, I don't even need to hear that ever again.
My favorite song was by Kiss was Strange Ways.
Yeah, good. There's so many.
But
so many
the earlier stuff, man, was hit and miss. I was a Kiss kid. I had for about like 2 months before I found the Clash or Rush. I think it shifted, but I had a moment where I did like the earlier stuff. But 100,000 Years, I remember that song. I remember the live version. Having. So anyway,
that's a good one.
Cool,
and
man. Well,
number 2, we went with Ozzy, and there's so many great Ozzy songs, but I went with Believer. That's
Diary of a Madman.
Yep, it's a little slower, kind of darker, heavier. The riff is really cool and different, I think, compared to some of the other like ones on the album. The solo is great. I mean, Randy Rhoads, one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah,
so
that's a good song. Believer, that's a good song. I always thought Sato was very like one of those ones that that's a great song, but they never play it.
Believer was like one of the random ones they used to play. Starts out with the bass.
Yeah, good tune, man. All right, okay.
All right, and then we're gonna go to number 3 with Judas Priest, Desert Plains.
Ooh,
another great song, a little different than some of the other ones. And it just, when I was a kid, I used to watch, they had like an MTV concert. It was like from the Screaming for Vengeance tour. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And I just remember the wall of Marshalls, like on the state, and it just, as a kid, I used to watch that all the time. I loved it. And that song just, again, the groove, it's a little different.
What album was that on?
That was Point of Entry.
Point of Entry. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And that's another one I could still play to this day. I still don't get sick of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's certain songs that like they live with you forever. And I remember hearing somebody, I think it was Bill Burr. He's like, no, yesterday I was like listening to Zeppelin, and he goes, "Is this the music I'm just going to listen to for the rest of my life?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he was talking to somebody in a conversation when he said it, and I was watching it on YouTube, and I was like, oh yeah, I do that too.
There's just some things that just keep going.
All right, man. So moving on.
All right, moving on. Number 4, we got to go with Metallica, Master of Puppets, and that whole band was just life changing for me. When I heard the song Master of Puppets, just the complexity of everything and the heaviness with like the clean guitar in the middle and the solos and everything, and that's like, to me, that was a whole nother level, especially back then. At the time,
I felt the same way. I actually Generation Kill. We actually do that a lot, where we'll be real heavy, then we'll do something crazy in the middle, and come back to it. And that song, it changed everything, man. I remember that like middle breakdown was like, what the fuck is this? I don't think
the whole thing. There's so many different parts.
Yeah, I mean, Priest used to do it like in the Sad Wings of Destiny days. They had stuff like that. But this was like new. This was our era of stuff. So I get it.
And every part is good. It's not like some songs are really long and they get boring or whatever. This is like the whole song is like keeps you from beginning to end. It's great.
Okay, that's a good one, man. Right on.
All right, now we're gonna go some of the hardcore stuff. Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain.
Ooh,
so that's like the first full-length album. That's just straight hardcore, fast, short songs, energetic, and that's just a Pit. That's it. Pit, man. Sing along.
I love them guys, man. on the Exodus DVD, we actually did a show with them, and because they were playing at a club like a mile away, so we went and said, "Hey man, why don't you just come to our place and bring all your people, and we'll just fill this place rather than."
I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and we did
That's
that.
great.
It was
perfect.
A lot of fun,
I do remember. That's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of
That's
fun.
how it should be, instead of having two competing shows, and you get some of the same. I mean, Exodus and Agnostic Front, it's all both heavy music.
Yeah, I mean, we just do guitar solos. They don't. That's all. You know
Actually, they have some too on some of their albums too.
I saw them with you guys last year when you came through with.
Great.
So Roger lives here, and I hang out with Roger.
Yep.
Every now and again. We do car shows together. He's got a badass fucking car, man, and so we always run into each other that way. I know he's been a little sick lately. But I heard he's doing a lot better.
Yeah,
so.
Hopefully, I heard he's doing better. Hopefully, it stays that way.
Yeah, too. All right.
Number 6, Cro-Mags. We Gotta Know.
Gotta know.
That is just the opener to the Age of Quarrel album is, I think, one of the best, like, hardcore with like a tinge of metal influence in there, but that's like, New York hardcore, and that whole album is great, but just the opening riff and the whole song, that's another one. It's just energy from start to finish.
You know what, too? You know what really makes that song? And it's because the riff, when you listen to it, it's not basic because of what it is, but it wasn't like it was complicated.
Right.
But what Mackie did on the drums just brought out a whole nother level. It was, it changed the whole dynamic of that song, and just made it fucking awesome.
Right. And it's still hardcore. It's not, technically crazy, but just enough to really, give you the music, a little more musicality, I guess you could say, in certain hardcore songs at the time.
So, John Joseph, I got him to sing on the new Generation Kill record.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah, we did a whole song.
Cool.
And we wrote the song in mind. I was like, we'll write a song, and then I'm gonna send it to him when it's done and ask him to be on it. And you know how, like, when hey, will you play on my record? And you're like, yeah, let me see if I have the time. Because God forbid somebody sends you a shit song and you've already committed to it, right? So, but I sent him the song, and he called me like 5 minutes later. He's like, I'm in, dude. Let's do it. Let's book the studio time and figure it out. And went over and
so when do we get to hear that?
That'll be January 24th on that record. So I got Chris Poland from Megadeth to do a guitar solo too on a song.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's guests are weird. It's hard to get them when they're on tour, when you're doing stuff.
Well, yeah.
So, but we made a few happen.
Nice. I wanted forward to hearing that.
I wanted you on at one point. I wanted you on there, but we were
there was stuff going on.
You were touring, so it was kind of tough. So, but we'll get you on the next one, man.
Yeah, man.
So,
plus, I'm not very technologically savvy, so I gotta like find a studio, and I gotta figure out how to do this stuff at home. There's all this like stuff I could do, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Plug it into my iPhone. How does this work? I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well.
All right. Let's see. And okay, here we go. Biohazard. Hold My Own. Ooh. That was a band in high school when I first heard them and saw them. I think it was it's like late 90, early 91, something like that. That was like the band that was like the ultimate crossover metal hardcore to me. They were playing. I saw them with open up for Creator at Toad's Place in New Haven, and it was just that was it. Then I just started going to see them every time they came to Connecticut or New York. I would go see them, and it was just like that changed everything. That's like set me towards more of the hardcore kind of stuff.
Yeah, because they were metal too. They were kind of like they were. Scarred for Life was one of my favorites.
Yep,
that was
great. And to me, that's like kind of like Hatebreed. It's the same way because they played hardcore shows, little hardcore clubs, and then they played with like Slayer and Creator metal stuff. So
yeah, I saw them with Slayer and Machine Head on that first song.
Yep, I saw that one too.
When the Burn My Eyes tour. That's
yep.
Yeah. All right.
And then I actually saw them at the Roseland with Helmet and House of Pain.
Ooh.
Was it Helmet? Wait, House of Pain and Korn.
Really?
Korn opened up. That's right. Yeah.
Now
I'm losing my mind. But it was Korn was like the first band. I was like, who's Korn? I think it was 94.
Right.
Korn. Or maybe it was all of them. But I know I got to look that up now. But it was like those bands, and it was huge.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
was like
Biohazard.
they were a staple in New York. Biohazard helmet, prong. They were always like they constantly played New York, so you could go see them
Yeah,
on
oh
a regular basis. Yeah. So all right.
All right, let's see. Okay, and then we're going with Blitz. Someone's gonna die, and that was getting me more on the oi punk trajectory, I guess you could say.
Where were
That
they
was
from?
they're England. This is
Okay.
early '80s
All right.
oi punk, like the GBH, all that type stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like I was a DJ at my college radio station, and we had this compilation called Drunken Disorderly. And so I played a few songs on it. I heard that, and I was like, and I just thought it was great. Again, it was fast, aggressive punk, like real English, British oi. So then that, like, I started listening to all like bands like that, like, you know, Blit, The Business, GBH, all those Cockney Rejects, and that whole thing.
Okay, right on. I just hung out with Lars a while ago, and he was in
that
oi band, the Old Firm Casuals.
Yep.
And yeah, man, they were fucking good. So I kind of.
And he's playing in like another band, The Last Resort. I think he like plays with them now. They're like old English boy band from back in the day.
He loves doing that shit, dude. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's see. Number 9, we're gonna go with Madball. Set It Off.
Oof.
And that was another one. I saw him like back in the mid '90s. I think it was '94. They played a show at this place called the Tune In New Haven. And it was just like, it was because that's when I was going to hardcore shows like every weekend. And
yeah,
there's a lot of like people were kind of doing like emo, like kind of stuff, like clean guitars and more like stuff like that. And they just came out and it was just hard, like from beginning to end, the whole show.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is hardcore, like for '90s now. And I was like, went to go see them every time they came around.
A lot of fights at Madball shows.
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot of fights at Hatebreed shows too.
Yeah, there is.
That whole era, it was just,
I
don't know, for some reason people couldn't get along.
Dude, we played a show. I forget where we were. I forget where we were. It was some weird country, dude, like Croatia or something. And it was Teenage Bottle Rocket, Exodus, and Madball. That was the
nice.
And when we went on last, and then all those dudes were all standing on the side of the stage while we were playing, and they were fucking jumping in the pit. The Teenage Bottle Rocket guys were jumping in the pit. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah. Which that was a really strange show. You know, you got this California style punk rock. New York.
That was Europe, you said?
Yeah, it was like 2012
Europe
or something.
has the most random bills. Like we did one show in time, I forgot where it was, but it was in Europe. It was us, it was Hatebreed, Alice in Chains, and Rammstein. That's it. Those 3 bands.
Like, Rammstein's the greatest live concert.
Oh yeah, it was nuts.
Did he set himself on fire during the first song?
There was fire. I don't remember if he said. I think someone was on fire. I don't remember if it was him. Like some guy came running out and they like extinguished him.
Yeah.
And then the keyboard player was like on a treadmill playing, like just walking like for a whole song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, moving on.
And then number 10, we got to go with Exodus, Bonded by Blood.
Yeah.
The ultimate thrash song, the thrash band. And you see interviews with other bands from that era, they always say Exodus. That's 100% thrash.
That's the one, yeah.
Great song.
That is a good song. I love singing that song.
Great.
Yeah.
We were supposed to cover it. I mean, we learned it for this tour because Gary was going to come out and Concord, but it didn't happen, and then we didn't end up doing the song, but we like practiced it. It was pretty cool. It was fun playing it too.
On your covers record, what song did you guys do? Did you guys do an Exodus
we
song?
didn't do an Exodus
You did a Metallica song, right?
Yeah.
I heard that one. Yep. I've heard a few off of it. I haven't heard the whole thing. I heard a few off of it.
Like I said, that was started. Sean started that, so that was like done in pieces.
Yeah.
So I only did 4 of those songs. But that's a good album too. If you want to know like the influence for Hatebreed, it's like metal, hardcore as all the combos.
I was always gonna do. I thought that was a good idea. Hey, these are the songs that made our band the way it is, and we do a whole record of covers just to go. These are the songs that we love. Yeah. All right. Well, Wayne, thank you for doing another fucking little section.
You got it.
So what'll happen is this is gonna be like a Spotify list. It'll be like I'm gonna have like a Spotify page for this podcast. They'll put up your Duke's podcast, and I'll have Wayne Wayne's.
Lozinak.
I know. It'll be Wayne's favorites, or
All right.
maybe some of like Wayne's, not top 10, but
Yeah.
Wayne's playlist. That's what it'll say.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, there's someone else in here?
My manager, my girl, and she takes care of me. She does all the shit.
Okay, get on my
stuff that I
You gotta watch what I say. You never know who's listening.
Oh no, man. Yeah. I would just beat her if she said, we've got any kind of.
That's great.
All right, dude. Wayne, thank you very much,
right,
sir.
Thank you.
Anyway, and I'll send you a link when this all comes out, and we'll,
Cool. I gotta look up that Korn Biohazard House of Pain show now. I know it was in the Roseland. I don't know if I just said helmet for no reason. I don't know if they were on there.
Yeah.
But
they were, you know what? That when Frank from Anthrax was in Helmet for a bit. That's when I saw Helmet. I saw Helmet in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, but then I saw them I was with Exodus. We were in Boston.
Oh yeah.
And we played this club, and it was a club where there were two different clubs. This was right next to the baseball stadium. And there was a club right near there, and fucking Helmet played a show, and then they emptied the club, and then they brought a whole new group of people in, and we were the headliner. It was on on a tour that we
crazy.
did. And we hung out with those. And Frank Bello was playing bass for them that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, all right, buddy. All right, bud. Well, thank you for this,
Good
man.
Talk.
I appreciate
Let me know
it.
when it's going live and all that.
It'll be probably 2 weeks, a week from Tuesday.
Gotcha.
So, and
all right, cool.
All right, buddy.
All right,
appreciate
man.
it. Peace.
Later.